This is the Marvel Universe of Superheroes Special Exhibition at COSI, the Center of Science and Industry in Columbus, Ohio. I've been wanting to see this traveling exhibit for a few years now. While I can't say I've ever read a Marvel comic, I may qualify as a fanboy of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that started with 2008's Iron Man, and has become one of the most popular and successful film franchises in history. This exhibit has some great props and costumes from those movies, but it starts at the beginning of the Marvel story. Comic books started becoming very popular in the 1930s, so Marvel, then under the name Timely Publications, was started in 1939 with the release of Marvel Comics number 1. This is an authentic issue of that very first Marvel comic book. They're now worth over $1 million. This first comic featured the Human Torch. There's an original hand sketch page for Marvel Comic number 1, and there's an authentic cover for Human Torch number 16 from 1944. World War II broke out around the time Marvel launched, so they created a very patriotic superhero, Captain America, an all-American super soldier who beat down the Axis powers and ramped up support for the active war effort. I like this cover of him punching Hitler. During the 40s, there was a moral war on comics, as some thought they were bad influences on children due to some of the violent themes and imagery. There were even comic book burnings. Then throughout the 1950s, the company went under the name Atlas Comics, and it was seriously struggling. They followed some of the popular trends of that time like Western and teen comics, but theirs didn't really stand out. The company was struggling, and a key editor nearly left. However, in the 1960s they made a big comeback by going all out with superheroes, an effort spearheaded by this man, Stan Lee. Another key figure behind this shift was illustrator Jack Kirby, who sketched this page for a comic about a giant lobster. Kirby created many of Marvel's biggest characters, including Captain America back in the 40s. Then in the 60s he conjured up Iron Man, the Hulk, Thor, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four. And apparently this drawing board was used by him. This is a self-portrait of Jack Kirby with all of his superheroes. Stan Lee worked with Kirby to create these comics and lead the company to success. Even when Stan Lee was older, he stayed involved and made cameos in every Marvel movie until Endgame. Sadly, he passed away in 2018. The Fantastic Four was a game changer for Marvel. This series was wildly popular starting in the 1960s. This is often credited to the family dynamic of the team. That was a new concept for superhero comics. This is an authentic copy of the Fantastic Four issue number 1 from 1961. This is the cover for Fantastic Four number 40, illustrated by Jack Kirby's hand. This is one of the earliest crossovers in comics because it featured Daredevil. Here is some more Fantastic Four art by Jack Kirby. And this is original art from a 1970 Fantastic Four comic, where they went to the moon, directly inspired by the moon landing the year before. The Thing is asleep on this couch in a New York apartment. It is very eventful out the window. In the Marvel Universe, there's always stuff going down in New York City. There goes Iron Man. Here is the Black Panther, a very interesting superhero. He was introduced in the mid-1960s as one of the first black superheroes. T'Challa is also the king of Wakanda, a hidden wealthy nation state in Africa, so the Black Panther storylines often had lots of Afrofuturist concepts. This is a page from a Captain America and Iron Man book that featured Black Panther. Seems similar to Civil War. Also, notice how these original pages are pieced together. The Black Panther film came out in 2018, and it was a rousing success. And here's some authentic costumes from that movie. The use of African art styles from across the continent in the architecture and costuming of Wakanda is really fascinating. This is Okoye's costume, worn by Danai Gurira, along with her vibranium spear. Okoye and the Dora Milaje are based on the Dahomey Amazons. They were elite female warriors in Benin in the 19th century. This is the costume of the Black Panther, screen used in the film, and worn by Chadwick Boseman, who did a phenomenal job playing T'Challa. Sadly, Chadwick Boseman passed away in August of 2020. It was revealed that he was secretly dealing with colon cancer while filming this movie. This suit is pretty amazing to see. And this is the costume of Shuri, the genius little sister of T'Challa, played by Letitia Wright. And those are her laser gauntlets. Moving on to Marvel's most popular superhero, Spider-Man, created by Steve Ditko and Stan Lee. This is an original copy of Amazing Fantasy number 15 from 1962, the first appearance of Spider-Man, which includes the classic origin story of Peter Parker as Spider-Man, and where he first learns that with great power comes great responsibility. Spider-Man's popularity took off during the 60s. Many comic readers really connected with Peter Parker. This is the cover of an Amazing Spider-Man comic from 1965. Here's original art from the Amazing Spider-Man number 12, where Dr. Octopus reveals Peter's identity. Here's one of the first appearances of the Green Goblin. These comics featured both Peter Parker's personal life and his efforts to conceal his secret identity as a street-level superhero, and bad things would often happen when the two mixed. This is art from the night Gwen Stacy died, showing the scene after he was unable to save her. Here are some villain props from a couple Spider-Man films. Alright, this is pretty awesome. The Green Goblin's mask, worn by Willem Dafoe in the original 2002 Spider-Man. While the mask is a little goofy, he's a pretty legendary character. He's sinister in the original film, and then he came back recently in Spider-Man No Way Home, and Dafoe's performance was freaking amazing and terrifying. They destroyed the mask almost immediately, but that's probably a good thing. And here's one of the Green Goblin's pumpkin bombs from the original Spider-Man. This is the Vulture's mask from Spider-Man Homecoming in 2017. This was worn by Michael Keaton as Adrian Toomes. He was another great villain. This is an authentic Spider-Man suit worn in Spider-Man Homecoming by Tom Holland. This must be the suit that Tony Stark produced and took back during that film. This is pretty neat. A screen-used Spider-Man suit. I wish they had Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland suits all on display, since they all met and fought together in Spider-Man No Way Home. That'd be pretty cool for a future rendition of this exhibit. On the top is an animation cell from the original Spider-Man animated series in 1967, and below there's a Spider-Woman animation cell from 1979. There's also some art from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, an animated movie from 2018 featuring various Spider-Man variants, including Miles Morales and Spider-Pig. I haven't seen this, but a lot of people seem to like it. This is a display about the process of making Marvel Comics, at least back in the day. A lot of work goes into the planning and illustration. There's some original Hulk comic art, but there's no costumes of the big near-naked CGI monster. Another key character introduced in the 1960s is Thor. and the world of Asgard, largely based on ancient Norse mythology. Here's some original Thor art. These are costumes and props from the Thor movies. There's the original, which I thought was good. Then the Dark World happened, but I love Ragnarok and look forward to the 4th installment. This is Thor's costume from the Dark World, worn by Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, he is definitely a big guy. And this is Mjolnir, Thor's magical hammer. This one was used in the first Avengers film. That's truly awesome. And this is the costume of Hela, Thor's evil sister from Hell, worn by Cate Blanchett in Thor Ragnarok. And there's her weird antler headpiece. Here's some art of Jane Foster, Thor's Earthling girlfriend, as Thor. Apparently she is going to get Thor lightning powers in the next film. This is Loki's helmet, a very iconic horn piece of headwear, worn by Tom Hiddleston in the Avengers. Loki's a fascinating and complex character. The Avengers first assembled in 1963 against Loki, then they assembled on screen in 2012 against Loki in a battle over this magical glowing cube. This is the Tesseract, screen used in Captain America: The First Avenger. It turned out that the Space Stone was encased inside. This is the costume and eye patch of Nick Fury, the shady leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the man behind the formation of the Avengers. This suit was worn by Samuel L. Jackson in the original Avengers film. Here's a little display on Ant-Man and the Wasp. They don't appear to have any costumes or props from those movies, but there's a very tiny Ant-Man. And the Wasp is coming down. Back in the 1960s, Hank Pym was Ant-Man, like in this original cover art. This is Epic, a grouping of authentic screen-used Iron Man suits. This is the first Iron Man armor suit from the 2008 Iron Man, built by Tony Stark in a cave with a box of scraps. This is the classic Mark III Iron Man armor suit, also from the first Iron Man movie. I don't know if these were worn by Robert Downey Jr. or not, but I think these are just stand-in props. They would have been very difficult to move around in. Clearly there is some damage from the final fight. And this is the Mark 42 suit from Iron Man 3. There were lots of different suits in that movie, but this was the one he was testing out early in the film. The individual pieces would fly and connect to his body. Here is some original Iron Man comic art from the 1960s. And there's some newer Iron Man art and a concept sketch for the first movie. That is the briefcase from Iron Man 2. It was used in a really spectacular scene where that suitcase turned into a full suit. And this is Tony Stark's updated arc reactor from Avengers: Infinity War, complete with nanotechnology. Visitors can become glitchy Iron Men. Oh, look at that!
Photo in 3, 2, 1.
No, you keep going. You keep going.
Oh shoot!
Leave to go to the test area.
Did you get me?
You gotta lean forward.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh jeez.
Almost.
Oh. How do I go?
Test complete. Well done. Woo! The eye. Of everyone in Stark Industries, thank you for joining us. Three, two, one.
Here is some more Avengers memorabilia. This is the costume of Black Widow, worn by Scarlett Johansson in the 2021 Black Widow film. She finally got a solo movie after she died in the timeline. Sorry, spoiler alert. But during her time she was a great character and was one of the most important Avengers. This is an original cover for her first solo story in the 70s. This is some concept art for the closing titles of Captain America: The Winter Soldier. There's a Black Widow frame. And here's some original Captain America art. While he was used as a propaganda superhero in the 1940s, he was resurrected by Marvel in the 60s, where he lived in contemporary times. This is an original sketch from Avengers number 16, where Cap first became the leader of the new Avengers. And here are some incredible costumes and props from the Captain America films. This is the uniform of Captain America, worn by Chris Evans in Avengers: Age of Ultron. He had a variety of stylistically different costumes throughout his tenure in the MCU. The earlier ones were a little bit tacky, but they got better. There is a little Avengers logo on the uniform. This is so great to see. Steve Rogers was an incredible character, and the Captain America movies are among my personal favorites. That was Captain America's battle-worn shield from Avengers Endgame. The shield got nearly destroyed by Thanos, so this one must have been used before then. And here are the costumes of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, two of Steve Rogers' best friends, who recently starred in a post-Endgame TV show. This is the costume of the Winter Soldier. This was worn by Sebastian Stan in Avengers Endgame. He didn't have much screen time in that film, because he was dead for most of it, but still this is pretty cool. That is Bucky's metallic vibranium arm. This Captain America shield was used in Age of Ultron, alongside the adjacent Captain America costume. And this is the costume worn by Anthony Mackie as the Falcon. This one was used in the recent Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show, in which the Falcon, aka Sam Wilson, was fantastic and truly earned Cap's shield. So the Falcon is now also Captain America. I'm interested to see where that goes. I'm surprised to see they have an exhibit on WandaVision, the MCU's first television show that debuted in 2021. The comic art on the left is the first appearance of Vision, and on the right is one of the first team-ups of the Scarlet Witch and Vision. So this TV show was weird. They really got creative with it, and most episodes were based on sitcoms from various decades.
Who's doing this to you, Wanda? Wanda.
It was also a very mysterious series, and Wanda was basically enslaving an entire town. Here are the costumes of Wanda and Vision from the series finale. This is the White Vision costume worn by Paul Bettany. The Vision in most of the show was a figment of Wanda's imagination, so this Vision was basically the real Vision's corpse that got revived and tried to kill Wanda. Now he's out doing who knows what. And this is the Scarlet Witch costume worn by Elizabeth Olsen in the finale of the show, where Wanda Maximoff finally becomes the Scarlet Witch, and by her next appearance went full on evil. Yeah, this show is bizarre and I really liked it. Visitors can choose and vote for their favorite Marvel character. I'll go with Star-Lord. Here's the rankings. Star-Lord's kinda down on the list. Here's a collection of all sorts of vintage Marvel toys, books, and even some games. There is some original X-Men art back here. That is the prototype for the Cyclops visor in X-Men 2. And here are the Wolverine claws of Hugh Jackman from that movie. Here's a statue of Miss Marvel, who is getting a Disney Plus show. This is Luke Cage's bullet-ridden hoodie. This was a Netflix TV show that I haven't seen. Here's some original artwork featuring Daredevil, and even Moon Knight with Daredevil. This is the costume worn by Charlie Cox as Daredevil, alongside some props from the Daredevil Netflix series. I haven't seen that, but apparently it was pretty good. So by day, Matt Murdock is a lawyer, but by night he's a vigilante slash hero. There's the plaque from his law office. Matt Murdock is also blind, so there are his glasses, alongside his walking cane. Let's take a peek in here. Oh, that is the flaming skull of Ghost Rider. From my understanding, a superhero possessed by a demon. That's an original 1970s Ghost Rider comic cover. Now we enter the mirror dimension and into the mystical world of Doctor Strange. On this stand lies a most sacred relic, the Eye of Agamotto. This screen-used prop held the Time Stone, which came in quite handy in the finale of the Doctor Strange movie, not so much for Vision in Infinity War. This is the costume of Doctor Strange, worn by Benedict Cumberbatch in the 2016 Doctor Strange film. That is spectacular, and there's clearly a lot of detail and different materials used in this costume. You can appreciate how highly detailed these are when you see them in person. And this is the costume of the Ancient One, Doctor Strange's mentor figure, worn by Tilda Swinton. I must say the exhibit design in this section is great. I actually bumped into a mirror in here. Moving out beyond Earth, there's a lot of superheroes in space as well, like Captain Marvel, who was originally a man. Captain Marvel made her debut in the MCU in 2019, and these are costumes from that movie. This is the classic Captain Marvel costume, worn by Brie Larson in the latter half of that film. It even has the mohawk. And this was Carol Danvers' Star Force uniform. She wore this in the early part of the movie as part of the Kree Star Force, and it also has a mohawk. There's some original Silver Surfer art. There is a chart about the intergalactic threats, including Thanos, who has a threat level of 100%. There's also the Eternals, who are based on ancient gods. There was recently a movie about them. Then there's the Watcher, an interdimensional spaceman who watches everything, and Thanos is peeking through over there. And finally, there is an exhibit about the Guardians of the Galaxy. They are among my favorite characters and movies in the MCU. This is Star-Lord's jacket, and the rest of his costume complete with some gadgets. This was worn by Chris Pratt as Peter Quill in the 2014 Guardians of the Galaxy movie. As I mentioned earlier, he is perhaps my favorite Marvel character. It's so cool to see Star-Lord's helmet. And this is Gamora's costume from the original Guardians movie, worn by Zoe Saldana. They also have one of her blades. There's some old depictions of Star-Lord. He used to be a very different character. That is the Orb of the Power Stone, as seen in the incredible opening sequence of Guardians of the Galaxy, where Star-Lord casually dances his way over to steal the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. And this is Peter Quill's Walkman, screen used in the movie. He has an awesome mix of 1970s Earth songs on there. And these are Drax's blades, wielded by Dave Bautista in the original movie. And I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot. Alright, I am blown away with the Marvel Universe of Superheroes exhibit. It contains some amazing costumes, props, and even artwork. It was so neat to see such iconic suits and objects from those cherished movies. It does seem that they add on to this exhibit as the Marvel Cinematic Universe expands, so I'll try to see it again in the future when they hopefully have some new stuff added. Also, I did catch the CEO of COSI making an announcement regarding the exhibit.
To announce today to the Columbus community, to Central Ohio, indeed to these United States of America, that Marvel, your favorite exhibition, will be here through the summer, all the way through Labor Day. So if you've seen it, come back. And if you haven't seen it, you definitely have a chance to come and see it. One! And like all good science experiments, you gotta wait. Wait a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here at COSI, the #1 science museum in the nation. Make sure you get a foam finger and come see Marvel all the way through Labor Day weekend and pose with our Marvel superheroes. Thank you.
So the Marvel exhibit is now at COSI through Labor Day 2022. If you like Marvel and the movies, then this is absolutely worth visiting. Please like this video, share it, and subscribe to my channel. Also take a look at my arsenal of other videos, including museum tours and more, showing off the rest of this museum. COSI is impressive, and those videos are linked in the description. Thanks for watching.